Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, as always, is my co-host Tom. What's up, buddy?
Hello, friends.
We are here today we're gonna do some work today, Tom. We're gonna fix as we sit here on the very edge of 2020, that year Barbara Walters had always promised us would come. We're ready to do. We're ready to have all of our armies basically brought to 2.0, but there's still a few remaining, my friend.
hmm
And I thought we'd pitch in, even though these books are probably mostly written.
Like they're likely at the printer, some of them.
We don't know that, though. And so we're going to
Like,
give our recommendations slash tinfoil hat predictions slash what we'd want to see, however you want to do this.
sure,
Also,
sure.
I agree, Steve Keen. Steve said, you are much clearer. I told him the same thing off air. This is a proof point of how bad the internet at your house is, because obviously you're at your office right now.
Yeah. The internet is clearly not good at our house, so I am not at home.
You should
That's
you
the
should
answer.
call and you should upgrade your internet. You could. I'm sure there's some kind of tax thing you can do on that. I don't know. Look into it. Call your accountant. I'm not an
Sure,
accountant.
sure.
Get Radio Free Hammerhall to help you out. I'm sure he can find some way to do it. There you go.
hmm hmm
All right. So that's what we're gonna talk about: some KO, some Seraphon, some Zinch, and maybe dip our toes in a little bit of Nergal as well, because that's sort of an on the cusp book later today. This will be
Yeah.
a relatively short show, just to warn everybody. I have to leave here shortly. I'm going away with my wife until the weekend. We're going away, so hence the early show. There you go. But at any rate, news. What do we got?
Rumor engine,
Yeah, it's
a
not up.
backpack.
I didn't bring it
A-
up. I'm not bringing it up. It's a 40K thing. I don't care.
I mean, maybe it's a backpack. Like it could be new KO hero model in the joint KO Zinch release box.
It's not. It's a 40K thing.
I mean, don't ruin my hope.
I am going to ruin it. This is a 40K thing
Why do you got to be like that?
because it's way too technical, even by KO standards. It's not happening, Tom.
Well,
Like, here's the interesting part. Let me ask you this question, Tom. All right, you ready?
hmm
Here's
Yep.
my here's a question that I don't know that we've ever directly tackled.
Yep.
Are KO the asymptote of technological advancement in the mortal realms?
I mean, maybe, like, or maybe we haven't touched that yet.
Well, that's the question, right? That's what I want to get at. Because the
Yeah.
one answer, if we say yes, then everything ever that comes out will be less uh,
Advanced.
advanced than them,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
you could get other people using technology. The cities of Sigmar have technology, right? They have
Sure.
steam tanks and stuff like that.
Yep.
But people using athermatic flying ships and steam powered drill cannons and stuff like that, like, is that the height of technology in the mortal realms? Or is there, and by the way, your answer could also be, well, yes, it is of traditional technology, but you could have other orthogonal high technology. Meaning, like, imagine we got a race from Highish that used like crystals to power sort of like an Eldar type take on technology, right?
I was about to say that's very Eldar elfish and very likely, in fact.
Yeah, so like you could
No.
have similar flying things, but they're sleek and crystalline and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
Superman's technology,
Yeah.
right? The Fortress of
Sure. Sure.
Solitude.
Yeah, and like we've talked about constructs many times.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's a world that we haven't explored yet that is going to happen. Like it's only a matter of time where we get in D&D terms our Warforge esque race.
Sure.
Like our Necron.
It's
I,
definitely Necron. No need to worry about it. It's 100% Necron.
sure, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
it's funny. I was prompted for this question not only because I'm working on my army, which is like this very technical take on all this stuff, but I'm also prepping up our Christmas D&D marathon, and that you're not playing in because you're a bad person, basically. And
By the way, my dissertation is coming along swimmingly. Thank you.
I'm glad to hear it. And we're going to be running in a place called Iron Reach, which is in this sort of new world I'm building. And Iron Reach is this. I'm not going to go into big detail because nobody cares about my D&D campaign. But anyway, like it's a place way up in the mountains that is inhabited solely by golems. Okay, like a bunch of golems exist, and they founded their own new society. And the players are playing the children that the golems created, so they're technical constructs. And everybody got to make their own little type of golem. Right.
Sure.
So like what they want to be made of. And so it was a fascinating exploration of like, what does technology in a fantasy setting look like? Because we had one guy literally pick straw. Like he wants to be made of straw, like a scarecrow. Okay. Sure. And we had one person basically pick microbots, like nanobots, like he's Spider's Man. He's thousands of tiny robots that take a humanoid shape. Right. And so I was just fascinated by like how, and it all works because who cares? It's fine. Golems, Golems, like iron
golems.
Yeah, like iron golems, clay golems, flesh golems, those kinds of things. So,
by the way,
it's just fascinating.
Hold on. Matthias Shaper said he wanted to hear about the D&D campaign. If you want to, I would suggest checking out Vince's podcast Undesign, where they regularly talk about D&D and things like that. There you go, Vince, a plug.
Thank you. A thing that I do literally every week and never mention. Yes, we're like 60 plus episodes in, and I've talked about it 3 times maybe in the history of Warhammer.
No, yeah. So for those of you guys that don't know, Vince actually does a podcast about D&D weekly with one of our long time friends, Travis, and it's delightful. And I encourage you. I've guest starred on a couple shows, it's definitely worth checking out. So it's enjoyable.
Short podcast, 20 to 30 minutes. We cover deep dive on a topic. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. So
anyway, yeah, the technology question came out, like thinking about this rumor engine. And I've been thinking a lot about technology in fantasy settings recently. So it was just sort of interesting to explore what can that look like, right? Like how far does it push?
I would love if we explore the framework. So here's an example of this. I think that we could take the framework of what's happening with KO and just multiply it out 100-fold. That's the type of technology that I would love to see. And what I mean by that is this. They have some magical MacGuffin A. Yep. So for them, it's like aether gas. For dwarves, it's Urgold. Okay. So take MacGuffin whatever.
Well, and we already know that there's tons of these MacGuffins because each mortal realm has multiple versions of this stuff.
Right, exactly. But for light, surely let it be crystals, and whatever, and just multiply that out and run a bunch of different races and things that are aesthetically appropriate and interesting. And so for me, if we have these things that are magically powering technology, I don't have as much of an issue with it. Right. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
As long as there's some, element X that is functionally magical.
Yeah.
That's your power source or whatever. But it's when we get into pure fusion.
Yeah, sure.
And stuff like that we're in another design space.
If somebody's literally using traditional plasma or fission technology, right?
Sure.
Yeah. They're driving around nuclear powered mechs. Yes, then we might have wandered a bit too far afield, sure. No, it's fine.
Now Aether gas powered mechs, I'm in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny. Just give me a different framework, a different narrative framework for how it works, right? And I'm okay with it. Yeah. No, it's a good point. All right, cool. What else we got in the news?
That's a great question. Let me check my notes. Obviously, the new Slaves to Darkness and Tome of Champions are going to deliver this weekend. We've had tons of articles from GW. I'd encourage you all to check those out. Man Reed's book is back, and he has read us this book, and so a lot of the notes of the army and points and all that are out and available. I have already started designing lists, and I think that this is I think the book is going to be a great counter meta book. Yeah, it is the definition of the big tent book. Yeah,
I agree. It's interesting. We were discussing some of your lists, and I said, well, you don't have a lot of. We'll by the way, we'll be breaking down Slaves to Darkness on Christmas Day. That's when we're going to do the show. It'll be our Christmas Day show. So Merry Christmas from Archeon, who's up on the screen right now because I love this piece of art. we'll actually be doing that breakdown then, because next week we have a different sort of show scheduled. And that'll give us more time. And plus, there's a potential the FAQ will actually be out by then. They might hustle it along because of Christmas, because I suspect everybody's going to be out of the office.
I will say this. I have heard that the FAQ that we've been waiting on will potentially drop in the next week, which means that, we may not have to wait till January.
Sure. I mean, if they don't get both the Slaves to Darkness FAQ and the regular and the big FAQ out basically in the next week, it's not happening this year, because like any office like this, people don't work there for like 2 solid weeks, right? Like, I mean, people go home and should, by the way, like people should be home with their families. If you work in a job where that's possible, that's what you should be doing. You don't need to be delivering me this kind of stuff. Like, it's cool. Enjoy your time with your family.
No, they likely have an automated like leaks schedule.
Yeah, of course. They've pre-scheduled all the online content, but it's not
on the post.
Stuff.
Yep.
And
no, I agree with that.
You know, I did my 10 years in retail, so I know what it's like to work around the holidays, and now I enjoy not working around the holidays. So there you go. But it would be really nice to see it, but that'll give us a chance to break that down. So we'll be going in deep there.
Yeah.
But what I'll say is I really like it so far. It's an interesting army. It is very counter meta. There's not a lot of big hammers. Like, there's nothing that super is going to blow people up, excepting one glaring problem right now that will probably be answered in the FAQ, but we'll talk
I don't know what your Nergal is fine. Leave it alone.
There's one massive, flashing, insane problem right now that I don't know how it was missed, because it is game-breakingly insane, but that's okay.
Really, what's the problem with every 6 to roll you hit, whether it be a melee or range attack, doing a D3 mortals back to the unit?
Period.
I don't see anything wrong.
What is the problem with every unit that attacks one of your units instantly dying? Your unit standing there unharmed?
I mean, like, it's not like a unit of like 30 witch elves pumping out 120 attacks, generating back on themselves 20d3 damage. It's 20d3 mortal wounds automatically before rerolls.
Sure. And before the plague touch kickbacks as well and everything like that. Yeah.
Right. Because then with those other attacks that hit, the plague touch is going to generate back probably another 20 to 30 mortal wounds.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they die. They evaporate. Everything that attacks you evaporates.
And then that's on a unit that's at a 3+ rerollable.
5+,
possibly 5+, 6+.
Yeah. A unit that is not going to move.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No issues
Maybe
here.
You should just attack something else.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll be fine.
Well, never mind the fact that you could actually, as it's currently written, stack that ability, so it could be multiple D3 mortal wounds, where X is the number of times you stack the ability, and or use it on your whole army. So, no big deal. I
mean, you're fine. It's fine. It's all fine.
This is fine. There's one off rule. I would just like to say I seized it right away. I read it 5 minutes into reviewing the rules. I was like, that's a problem. And it was the most broken thing. So anyway, it's going to be fun. I can't wait to do the slave show, and I'm sure.
Well, good for you. You as a designer seeing development problems. Congratulations.
Sure, thanks.
Good job.
Man. Yeah, I'm learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
okay.
So we'll get into that later. Next
and we'll do reviews of the books and stuff like that as well. So I will say that, like, regardless if that ability gets fixed or not, like, the book has some really interesting things to add to the meta, and it's a great like counter to a lot of these things that people have been really concerned with. So
yeah, I mean, somebody said you guys have talked about anvils as a unit classification. Is this a spiky anvil? This is a poison-spiked, electrified, acid-spewing, nuclear gamma radiation-emitting anvil. So, yes.
Right. I mean, but there's no rend in the army, so it's not like they can really kill anything unless you attack them.
Sure. What's our next piece of news?
It is the Adepticon events are up. I hope you're registered. Because I'm pretty sure we sold out of everything but maybe teams for the AoS events.
Get on that wait list.
So,
like, that's the strongest way for us to get more space. It's for people to get on the wait list. Sign up for the teams, folks. It's going to be an awesome event. This is this like Alex. is so excited about this. This is the thing he's always wanted to do. It's going to be an amazing, amazing tournament, I'm sure.
So I am stoked for teams. I will finally announce our team. So we've had some turnover for the team as to what this team was going to look like. Some things have changed. Originally, it was going to be a hyper hobby focused team that did not work out for a variety of reasons. But I'm proud to announce our team. I'm going to go on record now. We haven't done this yet. And welcome to our team, Ben Sava.
Yay.
Yay. Hey, whoa, twit.
Yeah.
And Mr. Mephistopheles. So,
whoa, what a team you got there. That's great.
Cast. So, yeah, I know. So it's going to be a fun team of just wild wackiness, of dry humor and of pretty painted models, and it's going to be it's going to be a blast. So we're gonna come and roll some dice with folks at the team's event for Acon. So I hope y'all are there.
Very nice. Awesome. Okay, cool. What's next?
Yeah.
What is next? Night Haunt.
White Dwarf. Night Haunt. Yeah, the Night Haunt battalions for White Dwarf dropped, and like a lot of people.
Oh, we lost Tom. There we go. He had good internet, then he lost it. It was nice. It was a dream for a minute. It looks like you're coming back, Tom. So I'll talk for a moment.
I'm still here.
You are. Right. You just dropped for a moment.
I'm here, right?
You're here now. Welcome back, Tom. Don't move so much.
Okay, sweet.
You're stressing your camera. You got to stay still.
That's amazing. Okay. I'll stay still. Anyway, so the White Haunt battalions dropped. A lot of people in the White Haunt community weren't as impressed, but I don't hate it. Mm-hmm. There's actually like a one drop Night Haunt list there that's actually like really good.
Yeah.
With like all of your core stuff and like 130 unrendable wounds and like 5 heroes with items where all of them have items.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think that a lot of people weren't as happy on Hex Wraiths, and it's something you've always been more on board for. And like, I think it actually does do a pretty decent job of making Hex Wraiths quite scary. Like the bonuses to them are pretty decent.
Yeah, I have like it does the work for Hex Wraiths. Let me say that. Yeah, I'm excited. I think that there's a viable list there. And it's actually like the design of my army itself.
Yeah. I thought it was funny because it really suited what you were already running. Right.
Like I wouldn't get to run my Black Coach, which makes me sad. But like it's basically what I almost already have fully painted as a one drop. And so yeah, so I've been Ben Saba and I have been talking Night Haunt lists, and so he had some really good ideas with it. And I don't know. I could run Night Haunt for the AoS championships.
Sure.
That could happen.
All right. Cool. I have one more piece of news, Tom, besides the Night Haunt battalion. Yeah. So go check it out if you're a ghosty boy. Yep. Tom, are you ready for the results of the prediction show we did back in the day? Oh, yes, I have them.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So here we go. I have the results of the predictions. I'm going to read through them at a hyper fast speed so that we all agree. Okay. And tell me if you disagree with any of my no's or yeses. We all ready?
Yep.
Here we go. Yep. I'm going to leave Eric out because Eric got you lost, Eric. I'm sorry, Stone Monk. You lost. So cutting for time, I'm moving Eric. All right, let's start with Cities of Sigmar. Tom, your predictions. No new plastic units, which I say is true. That was correct. We will have only cities that firestorm, and you will have to choose one of them. Very prescient. You were correct. Stormcast can be used in the potential cities and will gain the type of that city. You won't gain your SCE standard abilities. All correct. Tom went 3 for 3 on cities. Way to go. Myself, allegiance abilities and everything else is city dependent. The hero Steam Tank War Scroll, and this book will not have any traditional chamber equivalent. It will just use the cities. So I would say I went 3 for 3 there as well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Orc War Clans. Tom, you.
Well, no. Hold on.
Yep.
No. Stop.
Okay.
Your one that you listed on the cities was based on like racial type, like elf, dwarf, all that.
Yeah.
You need to rewatch that. I don't think you got that one.
Okay, I'll go
Those
rewatch
like
it.
I think you got two of the three. Yeah, because it was based on like racial types, like the sub racial types, not the city,
That's
and
fine.
we didn't get that.
I'll go rewatch and make sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be relevant.
Okay, that's fine. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Tom, your guess is on War Clans. They will have endless spells. Wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They will invert the power, so the standard orcs will be the weaker, non-optimal build, and the boar boys will be the new hotness and powerful build. Not really true, as a matter of fact. Like, the standard orcs are still quite powerful. The boars are also useful. Like, they actually did quite a good job across the bone splitters of making everything have a lot of viability. And you had the new IJ unit, the Beastgrave IJ unit will be in the book and count as a new unit. It did not. Myself, allegiance abilities, CT, artifacts, and spells will be an exact reprint for the Iron Jaws. Wrong. The Bone Splitters will lose the weight of dice shots in the air, the Cun and Ruck nonsense, which was correct. They did. They did lose all the multi-shooting, and the Cun and Ruck now caps at 20 models.
Okay.
Like, that was a big change.
Okay.
It's not going to matter.
But you could still do here. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the number of shots you do in the hero is vastly diminished over old school things. You still roll a lot of dice, right?
Sure.
Okay. Summoning for the Great Wall,
yep.
I was wrong.
Yep.
Because
you just said like weight of dice.
Yep. I was wrong there.
Yep.
All right, Maw Tribes. I guess there would be a new Tyrant and Butcher in plastic, and that the Fire Bellies and Man-Eaters would stay. Very close, but I guessed a plastic Butcher, which did not happen, so that's wrong. I guess there would be 3 distinct allegiances. Only shared allegiance ability across all 3 will be the large and in charge, which is not correct. I thought they were going to mimic War Clans. They didn't. All right.
Right.
And I guess there'd be an updated Bragoth's Beasthammer, which I was sad there was not. Your guesses. Basic Goblins will be the 3rd wing of the army. Wrong. The Feast of Bone sets will be Ogres and Bone Splitters. Wrong. And Snowball Chucking is gone in its current form, and they will become priests, which you were correct. Ding ding. That is what in fact happened to the Huskards and to the Thunder Tusks and Huskards in order. That's what you were predicting on, right? So that actually means that, Tom, you are the winner by 1 thing.
I won something.
If I go back and watch the cities thing,
wow.
and I have the racial thing in there, which because again I was writing that from memory, then we would have tied.
Yep.
But I'll just give it to you. Congratulations, you win.
Oh,
it's fine.
We can tie. I'm okay with that too.
Sure. So there you go. Tom, you're the big winner. We're gonna give Tom the victory for this one. He gets so little. We've got to give him this one. No, well earned. Well earned. All right. Okay, so there you go. That's the result. Got to keep our predictions honest. This is a week for checking predictions, which will go right into pick of the week, which my pick of the week is, speaking of verifying predictions, I want to recommend Haywo Twitch's new show, where he goes back and looks back at his predictions for the meta from GHB 2019, which is great. Like, he actually goes back and cuts himself with a recording and then shows, how his thoughts have held up. And I think it's actually really cool and insightful. And that's, we want to be, it's fun to hold yourself to your predictions. It's easy. We take a lot of swings. We take a lot of shots on goal every week. We don't really go back and look very often. So that's my pick of the week. I'll link it down below.
It's true.
Tom.
For me, I'm gonna spruik Jamie the Jasper's Realm of Plastic blog. Particularly, he is doing a advent calendar, and each advent calendar is a name generator, like a Mortal Realms name generator.
Nice.
And it's amazing, especially for the RPG that's supposed to be dropping here in the next year or so, hypothetically. My favorite, obviously, with my mind being locked in on Nergal stuff with Slaves to Darkness. One of the advent calendar, one of the name generators was a disease generator, Diseases of the Mortal Realms.
Nice.
And it's delightful. Yeah. The button to click is cover your mouth as you click it, and it like the shamanic bloating miasma. It's a sickening disorder acquired by smearing one's face with drake spawn eggs.
Okay.
The Akshian's stinking pox, a ghastly upset contracted by licking aetherwing guano. It's so good. It's so good. So I'm gonna post. We'll have the link to his blog and the advent calendars. They're so fantastic.
Nice. I'll drop both below. All right, Tom. Hobby time. What are you working on this week, man?
I painted some. Man, I was, as new books are wont to do. My hobby, my hobby progress was disrupted because, like, I've been painting up dwarves potentially for my Acon Championships list, and then this whole Slaves to Darkness stuff leaked. I was like, I got most of a list painted.
Sure.
like immediately gravitated towards like the Nergal Plague Touch stuff, and like all but like 10 models of that list that I would run in the new STD book is painted. So there's that. So I could definitely end up just running Slaves to Darkness for Acon. Like, that's a very real possibility.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
we'll
My
see.
keyboard was
We'll
loud,
see.
everybody. I didn't realize I was clicking so loud when I was answering a question. I apologize. I'll put it back on my lap where it's quieter. At any rate, I don't normally type too much. No, I agree. Like, dude, I've got this whole Zinch squad here ready to rock and roll, right?
Right.
Yeah, like all those
Right.
Chaos Knights, and I've got, a bunch of Varangard and everything just ready to roll out. But that's a fun army. I'm also looking at how I expand them. And I'm not sure yet. I'm still letting some ideas percolate. I shared with you a list called the worst list ever to play against.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking about that.
Did you see how I fixed it?
I did. I liked your changes very much, and I agree. The goal would just be to make literally the worst play experience in history, where your opponent has the opposite of fun at all moments in the game and gets to do nothing they like at all, which is fully a possibility in this book. I
think this book actually has the best version of the worst play experience.
Yeah, it's true. Like, it is a shut down your whole army.
Like, you can very reasonably.
Yeah, you're barely moving or not moving at all. When you charge, bad things happen. You fight last almost completely, perennially, all the time. And I fight multiple times before you fight at all. Right? And that's not being in Slaanesh Allegiance, by the by. It's truly the worst of all possible worlds.
You could legitimately fight Archeon like 3 or 4 times before they get to move.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about...
They choose anything.
Yeah, this is about crafting a play experience
and you
worse
could
than
turn.
3 Keeper Slaanesh. This is far worse.
Like, and you know who's going to win, like, on priority. So you can always optimize everything. It's just so egregious. Like, it's so the worst play experience. And I saw that and I was like, I'm interested. Tell me more.
Sure, yeah. It just occurred to me as I was looking through the book that I was like, or looking through the spoiled stuff, because I don't have the book yet, but I was looking through the spoiled stuff and I was like, oh, wow, you could build just the worst thing in the world here. It would be horribly terrible.
Yeah. By the way, I think I know a different way that you could make it worse.
Oh, good. Well, I'm excited. We can talk about it. Well, that'll be a thing we do on our show. We'll craft the worst list in history. Just the absolute worst.
Because you could drop the key.
Nope, we lost Tom again. He's frozen again. Poor Tom. That's all right. I'll keep talking. So yes, look forward to that. I'll talk about my hobby time while we're waiting on Tom to come back. You froze for a second, but that's okay, Tom. I'm working on more of my Whirlwind's Edge army. So here's one of my steam tanks. He's coming right along. You can see he's a little walker there. Boop. There we go. This is the bad girl, as you can see, because it says it right there. Bad girl. And then I've got a couple more of my my patented gyrocopters coming along as well. So I'll have my first full unit of them done and ready to go. So yeah, I'm excited about this one. continuing to just slowly work on that army. I'll have a lot of points. Like after I finish this, I'll be up to around 1,000 points on it. So pretty good. I don't have any battle line, 0 battle line so far, but who needs that? Who needs that stuff?
So what is the legged thing?
The big walker? He's a steam tank.
Oh, that's your steam tank. Okay.
Yeah, I've got 2, because there'll be 2 normal foot steam tanks and 1 flying steam tank. So this is one of the walkie steam tanks. Yes. All right. Tom has somebody visiting him in his office. So I'll talk for a moment. So we will so that's what I've been working on. I'm excited. Continue building that army. And I'll answer a question from the chat since that comes up. Yes, and I agree, Walter. Tom's hamster and his internet is struggling tonight. Seems like no matter where he is in the state, he has the challenge. All right, so let's see. And no, my Whirlwind's Edge stuff is all AoS. And then the question is, I can't answer for Tom, but do I miss the original Warhammer Fantasy World? No, not at all. 0%. Or do you prefer AoS? Yes, 1,000%. I've always been a Planescape person, as I've said before, and the expansive and infinite possibility of the Mortal Realms is far more enticing to me. Oh, look at that. Tom's in a new place.
I teleport.
There you go.
Maybe you guys didn't know that.
There you go. You just like completely different location. All right, cool. If you change outfits in the middle too, we'll be really ready to go.
Yeah, then it would just look like an editing cut. Okay.
Sure. All right, Tom, so let's start fixing some armies, shall we?
Sure.
Oh, I have battle line planned, Matthias. I just don't have battle line painted. That's what I'm saying. I'll have 1,000 points painted, and it's all. That's not true. I'm lying. I'm totally lying because this guy's battle line.
Your tanks are battle line.
Regular steam tank is battle line. Boom! I have 1 battle line. Yes. Score. Never mind. I am good. But I have other battle line planned as well. I forgot my normal steam tanks are battle line in one of the builds. Sweet. All right, never mind. We're back on track, folks.
So clearly, we need to cover Seraphon first with their teleporting, right?
Yeah, let's talk Seraphon first. So we're going to let's talk about what we're going to do here. We're going to go through, it's pseudo predictions, sort of like, well, I want to split this up like this. Part the first, what are the problems? Part the second, how would we fix it? Part the third, what do we predict they're actually going to do? Okay. Does that make sense? All right. So let's start with Seraphon. Part 1. What is their current state? What's wrong with them?
Old models.
Yeah, just a huge set of hyper old models. Like a lot of their line is very old. Now, a lot of their line is also kind of new and looks pretty awesome. Like the new plastic dinos and stuff are really good, right? Okay, but I agree. So old models just fill the range and are not good.
Right. And I think that there's some mechanical problems as well.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like they lack a real like anvil.
Yep.
Like their sources are problematic as they are.
I think almost everything Saurus is pretty much junk. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's a problem because that's traditionally been their anvil and all of it's just pretty garbo, frankly.
It's just terrible. Yes. And then as a magical race, they don't have any cast bonuses. And they have this really weird incentive structure for summoning where like they're incentivized to be good wizards but not use spellcasting.
Yeah, sure. Agreed. Like they have a weird, and I like those sorts of choices generally, right? But it feels like, which by the way, I'm okay with that continuing to be, but I feel like it should be more dedicated to like, I am going down the summoning route and this is the kind of thing I'm doing. So hence I'm using my magic to summon. That's what it is. Or I'm a really good spellcaster and I have lots of things I can get at to be a really good spellcaster, right?
Right. But they don't have cast bonuses.
And that's like a bifurcated choice I make, right? Where like that feels like what needs to happen there. Either you get to be real good at magic because your Slann is like a practiced wizard in the traditional sense. He's the master of magic, right?
Yep.
Or it's a summoning focus thing where he's bringing in more spawns or whatever, right?
Yep.
And that would be cool. But like clearly, by the way, also, so like I would list all the Saurus amongst their problems. I would also say that they lack a strong hammer, right? They're Kroiger.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
gonna pronounce them Kroiger, folks. I don't know if I've ever done this on the show before, but this is
Oh my
happening.
God, it's Croxagore, but continue.
Their Kroiger are like just one, bad models, two, bad rules, just bad, 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 bad all over the place. That like the bite rule is indecipherable and nonsense. It's like they're not good in any way. They have the traditional elite model problem while also having bad rules, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
they've got plenty of strengths. Also, their solo big monsters that should be their murderers don't hit hard enough. Right? Like their big guy on Carnosaur and stuff like that. Like they're okay, but they're not what they should be for like the big Saurus boss on Carnosaur should be like that guy should be hell on wheels, right?
Yeah, and they're missing they're missing the new tech as well, like mount traits and stuff like that. Like, but that's all easily fixed. Yep. But that can carry some of the design weight as well for like murdery things.
Sure. Now I do think they got a pretty decent spell lore in the GHB. I'd love to see that expanded slightly. Like I'd love to see maybe a Slann and a Skinky type lore or something like that, you know?
Yep.
But I think they're on the right road there. I think their teleport mechanic's strong. That's good. Keep doing that. It makes them... I really like that mechanic. And I think skinks are generally strong. Like, chameleons are good. Basic skinks are good. You know, so like... And by the way, the basic skinks that are all plastics are fine.
I don't understand the mechanic.
Of what?
I understand how it works in the game, but I don't understand lore-wise why they blink in and out of existence. Like...
Because they're super magical?
Maybe.
Their spaceship is teleporting them?
Is it, though?
That's what I assumed it to be, yeah. I mean, they are a spacefaring race. like, that's not a joke. That's just for real.
I know, like, all of that. Like, it seems that the mechanics don't match the aesthetic in the concept. But does that make sense? Like, like it seems to be the paragon of disconnected things.
Okay. All right. So
where it doesn't grok at all.
Fair enough. I like their magical spaceship pyramids and that they can teleport people around. I'm fine with it. I'm okay.
Well, then why don't they have any of those models? Like, obviously the answer is because it's an old line, but that's my point. Like, if they're going to push the pyramid spaceship thing, then let's do pyramid spaceships.
I agree. So let's talk about how we fix it. How would we fix it? Step 1, I would make a pyramid teleporting thing that you can put on the board, either as a terrain piece or as a model. And there's plenty of precedence for this, by the way, because the Necrons have a big giant pyramid thing they can put on the board. Like, that's just a thing they have. They've got these big pyramids. So just, like, you've already got the sculpt somewhere. Just throw some Aztec crap on it in ZCAD and print. It can't be that hard.
By the way, Doug, we're going to get to Siege too.
Yeah, don't worry.
That's part of the point here. That's what we're doing.
Doug knows. He called it all. He called everything we were going to talk about at the start of the show. He already won that. So anyways, but go ahead. That's step 1. Give them a sweet pyramid. By the way, I would be okay with this being like a terrain piece, and it would have more reason for existing anywhere than the rest of these nonsense terrain pieces that show up. Like, I don't know who built that corn altar. Okay.
Right.
I don't know where that came from. I don't know who stood up the giant Slanesh mirror. Who drug that thing into place? Okay, and all the gold that it's piled on.
One of the 3 keeper of secrets that you have in your army.
I guess. Oh yeah, like the two of them were together, just hauling it along. Like, I don't know how half the terrain that shows up in this game is there, right? Like, I don't know why OBR has the Necromonger obelisk from Chronicles of Riddick or whatever just stood up, right?
Vince, that's my critique, not yours.
Sure. I don't know why any of these things exist. Some of them make sense. Like the FEC one I'm okay with because it's clearly just like assembled from bone. Like one of them literally creates it from bones.
Sure.
I can stretch my head around that one. Sylvaneth,
hypothetically,
good. They make trees.
Hypothetically, for the Fire Slayers, they summon the Forge. Like, that's in the lore. That's why you place it, like, based on wherever your Rune Priest is. Is that, like, he snaps it into existence.
Fair enough. But this thing is a spaceship that can literally just land and that they come out of. Like, it's
Right.
the easiest terrain explanation in
So
the world.
do you know how you do it, by the way? Is you do a pyramid, but like the top is like semi-raised, right? And it's a spawning pool inside.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
And so then you can do like, you don't have to do summoning per se. You could like you could summon them out of the ship.
Yeah. Yes. Great. Again, perfect. Yeah, you just call some more in from your teleporter beacon. Again, that's what we're playing in here. I say lean into it. Okay? The Slann are like these infinitely brilliant, like cosmic-minded creatures that have figured out how to navigate with spaceships. And they talk about, like, many times in the lore, they talk about skinks going there. There's all these things they can't understand because you always see from their perspective this weird high tech that's inside their pyramids, right?
Yep.
And, like, that's exactly what should be leaned into. And the reason that they use, like, that the lizards and stuff don't have high tech on them and they don't use laser guns is because that's not how that works, right? That's not the technology they use. They spawned a bunch of dumb warriors to go fight for them.
Right. Right. And by the way, as an aside, I'm going to correct Emily. Emily, I love you, but that's not actually the terrain piece I hate the most. It's the forge. The one that I hate the most is as what Gary Percival just put his finger on, which is the entrance to the Goblin Nation.
Sure.
Where all battles always happen near the entrance to a goblin hole.
Yeah, sure. Very clever. The Gits are very smart at picking their battleground. They studied Sun Tzu. And Khorne snuck in secret and built an altar right near it.
Totally.
Yeah. At any rate, so that's step one. How else we fixing Seraphon?
So I think that they need to kill a bunch of the model line and re-lean into this. Like Temple Guard can stay. Like Temple Guard could be the core of that line. It's a great model line.
Yeah, crush to one type of Saurus. Saurus are just Saurus Guard, and call them Temple Guard again for the love of all that's good, or Pyramid Guard or whatever, and just make them like 2 wound anvil-y, like just very, very sticky hard anvils.
Yeah, make them like 2 wound and then like legitimate 5-up aftershaves. Not like mortal wounds, but just like give them a 5-up after, like not the 4 of Phoenix
honestly
Guard.
I like them melting to mortal wounds. I would rather they lean into the rend thing. Like I understand people hate that. I would be okay, by the way, with a spell, like a spell you could cast on a unit to give it a 5-up against mortals, like OBR has. That'd be fine.
So no, I could do that, and then make them just immune to rend.
Or
reduce it by 1.
Reduce it by 2. Go stronger than normal, right? Give them they reduce all rend by 2. That'd be a cool way to go. Like 3-up base, reduce all rend by 2. Just make them hard to break. They don't break to traditional things.
Right?
And
they need to have
rend 3 or something, which is quite rare in the game, but exists. Will still cleave through them. Right? And mortal wounds still peel them up, of course. Like, I don't want another Hearthguard Berserkers, but that's fine. These guys shouldn't be offensive. Right? They are a slow, grindy unit. Put them on like 4s and 3s, no rend, 1 damage, and a bite that's like 4s and 4s, no rend, 1 damage, and have the bites like on 6s do mortal wounds or something. Fine.
Totally. So the problem is that from mechanics wise, they lack real anvils and they lack real hammers.
Yeah, exactly. It's all too middling, and this is clearly your anvil.
Right. This is clearly the anvil. With that, all of the big dinosaurs need to be your hammers.
Agreed. They should be the ones that are upped. So like make the Stegodon great again, right? Like that dude should be rocking and rolling. I used to fear that Stegodon so much, right? In like many previous editions of Warhammer Fantasy. Make the big Carnosaurs just, like I said, absolute hot liquid death. They don't fly, and that's a limitation to them. But then there's a spell that can make them fly. Okay, cool, great, nice interplay there. And make the Bastillodon should kind of still basically be how it is. I think that's one of the few that actually doesn't need much in the way of changes. Like it needs rules cleanup, but I think the Bastillodon's the right answer.
Sure.
Like he's pretty much in the right space. Big old laser beam that does cool stuff, or snaky snakes that do wounds to stuff around them. Yep, cool.
Yep. I agree with all that.
Yeah. And I don't and then make Kroiger actually like some kind of, make them an Iron Guts like unit. That would be the easiest way to explain them, right? Just make them sort of
Very punchy. Very
Moderate
tough, very
save,
punchy.
very punchy, but you've got to chaff them and protect them. Like Iron Guts have
Yep.
a purpose in the Ogre army. These guys would have a purpose here, right?
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
like very hard hitting dudes. Put them on like 3s and 3s, neg 1 rend, 3 damage, multiple attacks, 3 attacks, something like that. And they've got big hammers. We don't need to get more clever than that. And then bites.
Do we get laser guns?
No, I don't think we have laser guns. Other than like the Bastillodon is okay.
Okay. Okay.
If you want to make a new model that's another take on that, I would be okay with that. Like if we're gonna cut the range and introduce some new stuff, like if since this is our part where we get to wish list,
Yeah.
then yes, I would have some kind of new, much more mobile, like little laser thing that's more focused on multi small shots. Think of it like a little like a pseudo horde clearer, where it could like fire out. It would work almost like the steam gun from the gyrocopters, right?
Sure.
Where it would run up and just be like pew, 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 and fire off like a disco ball of laser shots that have like.
Why don't you just do that with the snakes? Like you could do that for your snake base Stega.
I guess I just because the laser effect would be cool on a faster body.
Okay.
My point is, you put this
on
something that's got but there's a different like teleport. You always still are 9 inches away, right?
Yeah.
One of the advantages to a gyrocopter steam gun is that thing flies 16 inches, right?
Right.
I'm making an analogous piece here, like a weak little laser raptors, that would like run around and just pew, 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 shoot their little laser beams off in a disco ball around them. I mean, swing for the fences here when it's our build, right? We get to do whatever we want.
Yeah, no, it's true.
That would give them some, because another big problem they've traditionally had is like good, reliable horde weakening, right?
Yeah.
And this would give them a spot. Like it's actually filling a useful thing here.
Are you still thinking like clouds of skinks?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like chaff is the one place they don't need help on, and that should remain one of their strengths. Skinks were born and bred to be chaff. Like literally we have a race genetically modified to be chaff. That was what they were created for. So it feels like that's probably fine. Right?
It's a thing.
Yeah, like I wouldn't change. I don't know if I'd change almost anything about the skinks. I'd fix the chameleon skinks so when they pop back up, they have the normal restrictions. Beyond that, like because right now they can just be very
popping into combat.
They're just very dumb in how they can pop up right now for no reason. Like obviously, it should go without saying, modernize the rules, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just a baseline, of course. Things that don't say unmodified now say unmodified.
Let them pop up within 6. Like you don't have to do the full 9. You could do 6 for them because but make their blow darts 8 inches or whatever, so they could still pop up and do range.
Yeah, sure.
Like
I'd be okay with that. Breaking it like some of the Stormcast, Vanguard Chamber or whatever. Yeah, that's fine. Yep, I'm okay with that. So I think that's kind of the main. That's the high level functions. What do we think they're gonna do?
I don't know.
Here's my prediction. You ready?
Yeah.
They won't cut any models. It'll be like the Skaven book. It's gonna be that doesn't mean it's gonna be power level the Skaven. I'm saying, remember, according to our 3 release structure, there are 3 types of releases, and Skaven is the type where nothing gets cut and everything sticks, and you just re-release it with a book with all that, and you get nothing new. That's my prediction. Now, I do think they'll make Saurus 2 wound dudes. I do think that'll happen. They've always been on the upper end of toughness. Like, traditionally, things like Temple Guard back in Warhammer Fantasy were very tough. A thing that they have consistently shown that they will do is go back and look at the history of the game, right?
Yeah.
And appeal to that when informing their new design. That has been consistent across many books, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that will be that'll be something they do. Like Saurus will end up with 2 wounds. I don't think they'll be as tough as I trotted them out, though. That's my personal prediction. But I don't think we'll get any new models.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I would love as much as I think you're right, I would love like a partial rebuild. Yeah, that's what I would like. Where they kill, for Saurus, they keep Temple Guard, they keep all the plastic kits. like all the base, not the plastic, a lot of it is plastic, but what I mean by that is like you keep base skinks, you keep Temple Guard, you keep all the big monsters. And then they release a troll size box for Croxagore.
Yep.
And they release a dual box. Here we go of knights, which either have Saurus riders that are like heavy knights,
or skink riders that are fast scouts.
That are
like teeny weenies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love Teeny Weenie. He was awesome.
And then you maybe introduce one or two more heroes. So like a partial, like a 2-box, a couple hero rebuild, and then a culling of the line.
Gotcha. I could go either way. If you asked me, though, I'd call it 70. My personal odds would be like 70-30 on the first.
Right. I agree. But the reason why, like, let me like get meta about this with regard to releases. I think the reason why we've seen, like, this was the first book that dropped. Remember that?
Sure. Yep.
And yet it's going to be probably one of the last books to be updated in this edition. I can only suspect that's because we actually have model designs coming. Maybe I'm wrong.
Could be. That's good. I mean, that's a perfectly reasonable guess.
But because of the lead times on doing models is so much more significant. Like, look at the books that we got early. The books that we got early were things that basically got no models or one model.
Yeah, sure.
Like your Skaven and your FEC. And then we got trees.
Yep.
We got Fire Slayers. Like, none of that had real model counts.
That's a good point.
And then so like there was that was all low hanging fruit, and so I suspect that we're gonna see, we'll see models with we may see models with Seraphon.
That's actually a really good thought. I hadn't considered it from that angle. All right, I moved my prediction to 60-40.
Okay,
there you go. All right, cool. Let's move on. Next song. KO. What's their current weaknesses?
It's a one-dimensional army.
Yep. Absolutely zero anvils in the truest sense of the word. If they get touched, they explode.
If they get touched, they explode. They have no melee capability and no casting.
Yep.
And no anvils.
And the shooting phase alone isn't enough to actually stop
and the shooting phases is their strikers.
Right. And the boats are still either not damaging enough or still overcosted. Like their battleships that should be like truly frightening are still underwhelming. And I would argue that their hero selection is still way too one-dimensional as well. Right? Like what I mean by that is, what are their good heroes beyond the Endrinrigger?
You're talking about the chemist. What's the good hero behind
the chemist? Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
the chemist. Yeah, I can never keep those guys straight.
I mean, they have other heroes, and I know what all of them do. Right. But I take your meaning.
Yeah. Very limited battle line is also a weakness, right? Like it's Arco or go, right? Like
right. It's the worst.
So it's just like it is a. So that's I mean the limitate like it's one of the coolest modern armies that's been made. Design-wise, model-wise, aesthetically, it is on point, right?
Right.
Top to bottom looks fantastic, cohesive, cool, unique, compelling, right?
Yep.
Great. So we're nailing it there, okay? But after rules change after rules change after rules change, they just got beaten down and mixed around and swished up. I mean, they're taffy that's been pulled apart too many times, right?
Right. Like they don't they can kill some stuff, but if they do, it's uninteractive, and it's literally like often a coin flip of either you win on turn one or you lose.
Yeah. So, all right. So how do we fix them? How would we fix them? I want to actually start here real quick. I just want to get one thing out.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the story about survivor bias, where they show planes and bombers that had come back in World War II and examined like where they had taken fire, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't want to get into the lesson it teaches. It's a very important lesson about survivorship bias. But the point is those planes would get torn up, okay? Like they would take tons of fire and they would still get back, okay? Like now, I'm not saying you couldn't blow planes out of the sky. Plenty of bombers and heavy bombers and stuff like that crashed, okay?
Right.
But like those planes could take a huge amount of fire to lots of areas of the ship and still
Yeah.
remain completely functional and fly, right?
Yeah.
As long
Yep.
as like basically the rudders were working and there was enough wing and there was like half your engines or maybe a little more, you could limp back, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
To that end, these things need to be way more resistant to damage. So like either the ships need to get way more offensive to just be like just dreadnoughts that roll
Yes.
up and are just like
Yep.
like I want the scene from the Battlestar Galactica pilot where Adama says all stations weapons
Yeah.
free and you just see like all these guns come online and this wall of fire comes out of
Sure.
it and just
Sure.
shreds a base star into non-existence.
Sure.
That is what I want to feel when I go to when I'm like shooting phase,
So-
right? Just like that's what
I hear
want.
you. I hear you.
Or
What
they need to get way tougher.
I want the Exodus scene from Exodus 2 where they airdrop into New Caprica.
Oh my god, yes. Absolutely. This could just turn into a Tom and Vince talk about the best scenes from the Battlestar Galactica reboot.
Yeah.
All right. But yes,
Yeah.
it should feel like that.
Right. Like that's what
it
I
should
want.
feel
Where
like.
I want it. Like don't get me wrong. Every time I played KO and I airdropped and deployed all my riggers, like that's what I was imagining was the music from the as it's falling and all the ships are being deployed. It was worth it just for that, and then I'd win or lose. Maybe. So here's how I think they should fix it. Honestly.
Yeah. And by the way, the reason I say this is because I think the boat should stay about the same cost. They should just be good.
Yeah.
Right? Like I don't want them to get cheaper. I want most things in the game to get more expensive and just be better.
So here's my call. The ships, at least. No, I'll say it. And a lot of people aren't going to agree with this. The ships should serve functions on the table.
I agree.
Okay. And so here's how you do that. Gun haulers should be gun haulers.
Optional battle line weapons platforms.
Yes. They should be all, like all weapons loose. Their entire purpose should be to unload lead into the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And to that end, they should be hyper offensive, mid to short range guns.
Yep. They plow up pretty fast. They're not super tough, right? They're like give them just a 4-up. I think they're on a 5-up right now, which is inexcusable. Yep. All things made of metal completely should just be 4-up. Like that's a baseline, guys. I don't know how we looked at that model and said that's definitely a 5-up save. This is the same armor as like the girl in the bikini, no problem.
Yeah.
So like just 4-up. They need no after save or something like that, and they're
give them all the guns,
quick-ish.
All the guns.
They can walk up in like multi-fire cannons, let off machine guns, give them a steam tank like profile as far as weapons go, right?
Yep. And let them be battle line.
Agreed.
That's really important.
Just
because
like steam tanks.
If I'm playing this, I want to play fleet commander. Like I want to be in control of a fleet. Like I want to feel that as an option for the army. So that's part one. Frigates should be the middle of the road ship.
I think they should be people haulers that are armed.
Yes,
they
that's
should be
exactly
your
right.
embarkers and disembarkers. That's who's actually carrying your troops to battle.
Yep. I agree with that completely. They should be your ships that, if any ships are using engine works to drop out of the sky, those are your frigates. Yep. I think, and as Gary Percival has pointed out, I'm really open to some of them having garrisoning rules.
Sure, like the frigate being able to actually garrison people in it.
But I don't think that's the frigate. Stop. Okay. No. I think the frigate is like a people hauler. Okay. So like it's not designed for people to garrison. It's designed to transport people. It's designed to open up its bay and dump bodies.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Like that's its purpose, because it's not sturdy enough to be garrisoned.
Okay.
Okay. And then point the third. Your ironclad, that should be the Army's anvil.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. And the ironclad should not only be the anvil, it should be the thing that gets garrisoned. It should have true garrison, and where you have people like bunkering down and popping open hatches and firing guns.
Yeah, see, I like I'll be honest with you, Tom. I would love it if from my perspective, I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying.
Yep.
But my take on it would honestly be that the ironclad is more of a battleship than an aircraft carrier. Okay. Like the aircraft carrier is a step above that doesn't exist. Okay.
Sure.
And the, I think we dropped for just a second there, but we're back. It was just a real quick thing. I don't know why.
Yep.
But the ironclad is your gun platform. It's a battleship. Okay. It's meant to just shoot. And by the way, flyboys can come out of it. Okay.
Sure.
Like it can haul around flyboys. Like it lets out ships like that your Sky Wardens and your Endrin riggers, right? We're all wonky now on my screen when I'm looking. Are we all
weird? Yeah, I see that as well. I don't know what's going on.
It'll catch up. We're still streaming, so that's fine. It's working. Sorry. It's all jumpy. It'll smooth out. Yeah. Sorry, everyone. I don't know why. But at any rate, that's sort of, I think, hey, there we go. We're catching up. Like, and that thing should be a giant guns platform. It should have the big guns. Long guns.
Maybe you want it as the battleship, and I hear that it should be the anvil of the Army though. I really believe that because I don't know what else is the anvil for the Army.
It could be an anvil. I'm okay with that. I'm just saying I don't want it to be garrisoned by a bunch of dudes. Like that can all just be part of its guns. I don't want separate troops getting in it and being safe. If you want to move people around, you use a frigate. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
It is it has a huge crew.
Yeah.
Right? There's a bunch of dudes on it, and they can fire their guns, and there are long guns, and there are machine guns, and athermatic cannons, and just just guns coming out everywhere, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Gary, I think that the land raider, Gary makes an interesting thing. I think Tom, you're seeing it more as the land raider, right? Whereas frigates end up being more the mid-range tank, the Razorbacks. Whereas what I'm saying is, I want the ironclad. I want it to be more like a Baneblade, right? Like that's what I want this thing to hit the table with. Just bring the long guns online, and you just start shelling their line.
I mean, maybe I don't know.
It can be tough. It can be super tough. I'm okay with that. It should be definitely base 3 up and probably some kind of after save as well, just to represent getting hit in non-vital areas.
Right. Sure. Okay. Let's keep moving.
Okay. Arco, make that everybody now fits what the options that comes in the box. Sorry about your life, but the 3 light skyhooks thing is gone. It's now 1. If you already modded, I don't care. Just say it's a normal gun. Pick one. Do something. That's just the nature of the world. Everything should match the kit. That's modern. That's modern design. And make all the guns actually useful. By the by, if they have these different guns, don't make it so the skyhooks.
But they're not all guns. One of them is a melee weapon.
Again, we could completely change the rules around to how those things work. Okay. Thunderers, when I look at something like Thunderers, that should be your multi-toolkit, lots of different interesting shooting unit, and all the guns should actually be useful.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know. My frustration with it, I think that it's a feel bad the way that all of it's designed, no matter what way you go. Mm-hmm. And not just because people are sad about how it's built. I mean, so what you're telling me is that you want to have 5 different weapon profiles that you have to check and roll for with special abilities.
I'm not necessarily.
Because
what I'm saying
the way
is we could give them the Ard Boys treatment.
But could you? Because then does that just mean that they all have the same attacks, but then they do have different abilities?
It could mean I could see several different ways we entertain this. Are we talking Arco or Thunderers? Which one?
Thunderers right now is what we're dealing with.
So here's what I would argue for Thunderers. Okay.
Yep. There are 5 different weapon types.
Correct.
And there are enough for the rifles to be armed on everybody. So you have 10 weapon options, 5 rifles, and then 1 of each of the others.
I agree. Yeah. Okay. So what you change it to is 2 distinct profiles. That is to say, like, there are 2 special weapon profiles that have really unique, interesting options, okay, that are in there, whatever the most compelling ones out of the kit are. And then you make the other stuff like all 1-ish profile that has a good, decent thing. Okay? So you've got 2 special weapons with special rules. That's not too much to track for a unit like that. And the rest all have like rifles, blah and blah. Like just all their shooting weapons roughly work like this. Okay? And it's all
But like aesthetically that's weird because like one is a rocket launcher, one is like an organ gun, a handheld organ gun. One is and like so that's the problem is that like aesthetically it's just going to feel weird. One is a gas gun.
I guess, like, but I mean, to me, like, they don't look that much different.
Well, then have you actually seen them with full armaments? Like, have you ever seen a kit built out fully?
Yes.
Because
it's on the cover of the
weird.
box.
Yeah. The cover of the box isn't all of them. It's it's all like, default rifles. It's the 5 samey rifles. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a problem.
How do we solve the anvil problem beyond just an ironclad? Because pulling up a boat isn't enough.
I know what I would do.
Okay, what's your solution?
I would release a kit that is a mech dwarf.
Okay. Like
I would release.
I agree.
I would release a power armored dwarf, a power armor piloted by 2 dwarves. That is itself a like have one in the belly and then one in like the head spot, and that it has like jump jets, so it has like probably
you strike just put in the comments that I really like, which is Thunder split into several different units. The rifle unit as battle line, and then a special weapon unit that's more elite, where they keep like 5 distinct profiles, and then as Gary said, they're more like, you know, obliterators or something, or the heavy weapon units in 40k where you've got like 5 dudes with 5 different weapon profiles, and that's just accepted, and you actually have 2 units out of that one kit. And the Thunderers themselves just have like better, more elite long range rifles, but they're still battle line, and then you have like a special weapons elite unit that actually can bring a bunch of stuff. I think that's a cool idea.
Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't hate that. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's really. I like that a lot. By the way, I think the other option is if you're not talking new kit, is you've got to change Sky Wardens around to be your actual like melee anvil.
And I could see that as well.
Because they already have the potential to go that direction. That's kind of their point in the lore. They're like these sort of defensive,
they're the elite
elite guardian people, right? So you just lean into that a little bit, push them to like a 3-up save, have some synergistic buffs that can give them a little more defenses, right? And then they become kind of an elite-ish 2-wound mobile anvil. Cool.
Yep. No, I agree with that. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I would say that let's go back to Arco because we haven't finished talking about them.
Sure.
Like they have to go back to the box. They do. They have to go to the 1 gun per 10 of each. The problem is that like I don't know what that world looks like in their current lineup. Because like it still has you with like 1 melee guy that's weird. And then like 2 different types of guns. Like I don't know how you balance that unit at its points, like without like truly tinkering with a bunch of other values like pistol shots and melee shots and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just it's really hard for me to.
I do. The Rust Belt Blacksmith threw out a good idea that I like. The idea of like a boarding party, like heavy armor, shields, and shotguns. That's a cool idea, too. If we were going to get a new unit, I always loved, there was like an Imperial Guard unit that was kind of like that like the stormtroopers that would jump down and were like, had all these shotguns you could just blast up the enemy with at like very short range. So it's like ultra short range shooting, but you just kind of drop them in and then, they just spread damage in this real close thing, right? I think that'd be a cool take.
And the right answer is like, if you were to have a unit like that, that is your Thunderer gun unit. That is because all the specialized weapons, like they are the boarding party.
Yeah, they could become an anvil as well, right? Like they are already in quite heavy armor as they're portrayed. So you could just bump them up.
Right. Like, and if you did that, like, you could have them, like, you could do a bunch of different fun things with them. Like, as Gary said, instead of fighting in combat as an animal, they shoot in combat. So they use their shooting profile in melee combat.
Oh, okay.
So they like, and then your abilities could, like, they already have some melee debuffing, so you could like integrate into them both passive debuffing and like shooting short range like stuff, shotgun stuff in melee, and that could potentially like serve that function on the battlefield.
Okay. In the essence of time, we need to move on and
Yeah.
get to Zinch.
And
Because
that's
we don't
fine.
have a lot of time. But
Yeah.
is there anything quick you want to say on the end of them?
I don't know how GW is going to fix this. I think that it's a problem across the board, and I don't know how we split the baby on Arco as a unit, because of, like, I don't know how you make them worth their points with what you're trying to do with them, because the problem is that the game demands specialized units.
Yeah, sure, but I'm okay with them having a generic-ish battle line like that. That's just kind of some shooting and a tiny bit of melee. As like, they should always be weaker in melee, just not roll over completely and die like they are now. You could have more specialized battle line if units, and I'd be okay with that. Like, take the Sky Wardens, change their role slightly. Take the Thunderers, change their role, and you could fit those into the specialized slots. And your generic battle line is just kind of generic, and it's kind of a multi-purpose toolkit of this like core military-esque unit. And I'm okay with that. Because then still like 10 packs and stuff like that can be useful. They can put out some supporting shots. They become a supporting unit to your stronger focused units.
Right. And I'm okay with that if that's the way they go, but then that means you need to hand out battle line to 3 or 4 different units.
Which I completely agree. It should be
and
like Thunderers, Sky
to.
Wardens in a case, and Gun Haulers at minimum.
Yes. Like, yeah. I agree with that. I don't think they're going to.
We'll see.
That's my fear. Yeah.
Yeah. Our actual predictions are we don't even know. And I hope, I don't think they're going to get new models. I hope they do some of the stuff we're talking about with the boats. But right. I think that the boat will still not get redesigned as much as they want.
And well, agreed. And we have the technology now to like make boats heroes and not like break them. You know, like
totally hero version of a boat. Yep.
Right. Like, I don't know why we don't have like named ships.
Yeah. Hero named
with, like,
boat. Make it happen 100%.
Right.
Yep. Okay. Zinch. Yeah. What's Zinch's current problem? Here you go. I'll start. It's a mess. Change host is the opposite of fun. A bunch of their rules are just messy and way too overcomplicated and overwritten. Like, yes, they're the schemy army, and they need to have cleverness to them, and I agree they should be on the upper echelon of complexity, but some of this stuff is just obnoxious.
Okay, rapid fire. Destiny dice, yes or no?
Yes.
Summoning, as it currently is, yes or no?
Yes, with modifications.
Okay. Spell dominance, yes or no?
100% yes. One of the Chaos is Lord of Magic.
Right.
Every faction has one Lord of Magic that's vying for the title. This should be Chaos's. Orders is the aforementioned Seraphon, by the way.
Right. Okay. New endless spells, yes or no?
Yes. 100. Please, that would be great. I would love some endless spells. If anybody should have endless spells, it should be them. And they should have many special abilities with them.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, they should have a version of whatever that dumb soulbound thing was that OBR got and they didn't need and shouldn't have had. It's completely out of character for that army.
So what is the problem with their units? Let's talk about that first.
Yeah, sure. A lot of their units are just useless and we never talk about them. Screamers, Flamers, right? Those just aren't even in the discussion. Yeah?
Right. Yep.
Their existing units are annoying as all get out. They just they induce bad play almost from the time you put them down. Pink's being wizard, a battle line wizard that also then spawns into second and now third versions of itself.
Yep.
Right? Just these gummy gumdrops.
Yep.
Right? That are just so annoying to plow through and feel absolutely unrewarding to fight. Right?
Yep. Yep.
we've classically had like Enlightened and Skyfires and all that have always been off kilter.
Yep.
Most of their heroes are actually kind of interesting. Like most of those just need tweaks, like the Curseling and the Fate Master and the Ogre Thaumatarge and all that stuff. There's plenty of interesting Tzeentch heroes. I actually like most of their heroes. I think the Chicken is pretty good. He probably needs a little bit of change and modification and update, but Chicken's in it, decent.
Yep.
But so like I have no problem with Death Chicken. It's mainly their actual stuff is just not compelling, right? So like Zangor probably are pretty close to right for that army. Just the base regular Zangor, the foot Zangor.
Yeah.
The Enlightened and Skyfires need to come toward each other.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And just like find some happy middle ground where one of them is not just clearly undercosted and one of them is way overcosted.
Sure.
The Arcanite cultists, like the base dudes, need to have some kind of purpose in the game.
Right. They suffer from the KO problem right now.
They're rollless right now.
Yeah.
There's just no reason to get
that's what I'm like. That's what my concern was with the company, is that like what the company will become are what are like Arcanite cultists currently are.
And I have no idea how to fix the pink-blue brimstone problem. I'm not sure we haven't dug ourselves into a hole we can't dig ourselves out of now. But I am keen for solutions.
I'm fine with the summoning situation. I am.
I hate unit replacement junk happening all right there. Like where they're popping into each other.
So can I
maybe it's just cleaner rules on how that all happens. I don't know.
Maybe can I throw out a different solution then?
I'm ready, man.
Give them unit regen.
Okay.
But they regen lesser models.
Okay. Yeah. Like in the Battle Shock, they get to just restore X number of models, right, or something like that.
Like
or hero phase or win sometime.
Let's imagine this. You summon pinks, and the rule says something like in your hero phase, return 2 models to this unit. If you have any remaining pinks, you return blues.
And if you do not, then you return brimstones.
And they just have lesser profiles. And it basically says like if you have pinks remaining, like it has a special rule of like powerful something. Anytime you remove a model, like you have to remove, if there's pinks, you have to remove a pink model until all pinks are gone, and you have to remove all blue models until all blues are gone, and then you have to move brims till all brims are gone.
Sure. I'd love to see. So let's talk about let's fit some stuff to roll here, because I don't want to get too bogged down in that. I think that Screamer should come back and actually do something. It's a cool kit. They're really unique looking models. I've always thought they were the coolest thing in the range. And what I would love to see them be is fast chaff / anti-chaff.
Sure.
Okay. Where they can just pass over things, shred them to death. Basically make it so if anything has all your chaff units, if anybody has like a 5 or 6 armor, they can literally just mortal wound them to death. Make it almost a reverse of Metal Cruncher, right? Where like if they pass over them, then you get and they have a 5 or 6 save, you do like D3 mortals. Otherwise, you just do 1. Make them super fast and stuff like that.
Can I jump in real quick? Matt Davidson has a point, and I love it. How about we just do this? As soon as the pink unit dies, set down a blue unit of appropriate size within 9 inches of a hero. Once that blue unit dies, set down a brim. And just get rid of all of your stuff.
The model to model, and just make it like a chunk to chunk replacement. Yes. I love that idea. Yeah, thank you, Matt Davidson. That's exactly right. Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yep. So when the pinks die, then you set down, you auto summon a unit of blues.
Flamers should be cheaper and put out a ton more shots, all without rend. Okay. Make them the scrap launchers of the army as a point of fact. Right, where they are like just a way to they just throw out tons of shots. Just tons and tons and tons of shots, right? Not like, I mean, even so, they're never going to be, bone splitters kind of weight of dice. It's still a small number of thing. But give them like 5 or 6 shots Or
they should be like the Hurricane crossbows. 9 shots model.
Absolutely. Put Put them on like, yes, that's a great analogy, Tom. Make them the hurricane crossbows, where it's tons of no-ren shots. Right? Yeah.
Yep. I could do that. Or you turn them into truly like warp flame throwers.
Well, no, make the exalted one that. Because remember, there's the regular flamers and then the exalted flamer. The exalted flamers are your short range, like warp fire dudes that just literally go up and like melt with real short range, just like
mortal wound. Yeah.
Mortal wound fire.
Yep. Okay. I can see that.
There you go. And then I think that's like, as far as magic goes, again, they're in a good place. I would want to see them get their endless spells and really be frightening in what they can do with endless spells, right? As well as being able to steal spells and all the stuff they can currently do, right? All that kind of wonky stuff. They should be a real threat in the magic phase, right?
Yep.
Where they're just dominating, where they're moving endless spells around the board, other people's endless spells, right? They could have rules that like they can jump the line, like a command ability that lets them be used, a command ability that can be used outside the turn order when you're moving predatory endless spells, right?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So for Destiny dice, what if we added additional functions? Like, first of all, would you keep Destiny dice at fixed numbers?
Yes, I like them how they currently are. I like almost all the current Destiny dice stuff.
Would you say that you sacrifice them for rerolls?
No, I like them as they currently are. I think they're really good. I think they're narratively appropriate, and it is a very exhaustible resource. Like, if you want them to refill, you've got to really invest in that.
Right. Sure, and I don't disagree with that. So what if you actually added additional functions for that?
Okay.
Like spending a Destiny dice to move endless spells or do things like that.
Oh, that'd be cool. Sure. Where you could burn one off to do these other things. Yes, I love that. Almost like the Khorne Blood Tithe where it has these two purposes, right? Yeah, I dig that. Because then that'll also give you a use, because you don't always have a use for the 1s and 2s. Sometimes you can use it to auto-pass battle shocks and garbage like that, and that's fine. But it'd still be exciting to be able to drop those and be like, dispel an endless spell or move an endless spell as though it was moving. Yeah, that'd be real cool. I would support that. That's a great idea, Tom. Zang. Other than that, I think they have a good model range. They're in a pretty decent point. They have some good hammers. They have some good stuff. By the way, it really just needs a lot of cleanup in that regard. I would, just here in our last couple minutes, I would say the same thing about Nergal. Nergal needs a move toward, obviously toward the 2.0 rules, do things like move Blight Kings on unmodified, all that kind of standard stuff. And then a lot of it is just like slight tweaks on a few war scrolls to make them more up to snuff and fit to purpose.
They don't feel true. Like, even though they technically are a 2.0 army, they don't feel like it at this point. And the same thing with Legions of Nagash.
Sure.
They don't feel like 2.0 armies now.
I think you could see new versions of those two in 2020, but it's not like Nergal probably needs it more than LON, but LON just kind of needs a general cleanup because of the death armies that have come out since.
Well, LON needs the OBR treatment. And so like your legions, and I would say the same about Nighthaunt, like your legions just need to be their own books. So like Nighthaunt needs to just be Legion of Grief.
Sure.
And OBR is functionally the Legion of whatever, of the one Mortarch, the Legion of whatever he's called. He's a Mortarch of something. But that's my point, is that like you just make those things what they are and lean into that.
Yeah.
Rather than making them like a singular monolithic army that then has its hands tied.
Sure. Yep. But I think like when you look at something like Nergal and Legions, it's really a lot of like rules cleanup, making them modern, and then probably adding some more punch to a few units that need them, right? Like here and there. Like some of the stuff just isn't as damaging as it probably should be for what it is. Right? That's the concern. There you go. Oh, as far as Tzeentch Acolytes, which we never actually solved, I think you should just make them the Marauder-like chaff unit where but give them a decent shooting attack. Have them be like nothing in melee, and they can throw their little flamey flames around.
But that's what they are.
Better versions of the flamey flames is what I'm saying. Like improve the flamey flame so it's a thing you actually care about. Like that's what they do well. Do you see what I'm saying? Right now, that shot isn't any good. It's not worth taking a unit of them.
It's 18 inches 4s and 4s.
Yeah.
Like that's what Marauders are. Like that's their numbers.
But there's no buff for that to make that all, like you could turn Marauders into some hot death in melee, right? As we've seen. What I'm saying is
Right.
synergistically, that shooting needs to be able to achieve the same stuff in
Okay.
short range.
Yeah.
You get what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like,
Yep.
make it so
Yep.
you can go in on that as a strat to
Yep.
where that, like, those guys running up and throwing the fireballs actually becomes real scary.
Yeah, and as I agree with Paul, I think Nergal needs some work on like contagion, like the way that
Oh, their
contagion works.
summoning. Yeah, their summoning is super
Yeah,
underwhelming and
yeah.
complicated and annoying to track. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a good call. All right,
So
Tom. That brings us to the end. There you go. We fixed it. So hopefully they listen to this and just update the books. There you go. Go ahead and
uh,
call those back from the printer. Make some quick updates. We're good to go. Problem solved. 2020, best year ever. All right. Very good.
they have a lot to live up to since 19's been so good.
It has been really good, and I'm super looking forward to it. We will be back next week. We're going to do a fun show where we're going to get real nerdy. So if you want to get deep into the nerddom, get ready for next week because we are going to go deep into design. And then the week after that, we will be breaking down those slaves to darkness and all celebrating under our new Grand Marshal of the Apocalypse, Lord of the Everchosen, Archaon. So, at any rate, thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it. As always, we'll see you next Wednesday.